Hello and welcome to the second part of our Introduction to Communication Support series. This training video is about strategies and working on targets for children with speech, language and communication needs, or as we're going to be referring to them later on, SLCN. This training video is presented to you by the Barking and Dagenham Speech and Language Therapy team. This training is designed to be watched after the first training video, which theme was what is speech, language and communication needs and creating a quality communication environment. Please go back and watch this if you haven't already, or if you would like a refresher. You will need to have an understanding of the communication pyramid and communication milestones for this training, which are explained in this previous video. If you don't have the link to the first video, please speak to your link speech and language therapist. So the training outline for this training is to explain why this training was developed, what you can use to identify SLCN and select target areas, example of target areas and activities, and how to step up and down targets, as well as some useful resources you can use. Let's start about why this training has been developed. Our speech and language therapy service aims to support all school-age children across a variety of settings. Evidence shows that supporting children in their everyday communication environment has the most benefit. This training will help you to identify what you can do in your setting to support children with SLCN. Schools are expected to put strategies in place for at least 2 terms before they refer children to the speech and language therapy service. This training will help you to identify and put in place strategies that support each area of communication. What you can use to identify speech, language and communication needs. So here are some of the tools that you can use for screening. One of them is the ICANN Development Checker Quiz. This is a quick quiz to identify typical milestones and flag if there are concerns about SLCN. This could be useful for parents and teachers to use if they are unsure. There is also the Nalt screening checklist used for new referrals, which provides a detailed way of analyzing which areas of communication to target. The Nalt screening assessment, this is a tool that you may see therapy assistants or therapists using in school. You can ask your link speech and language therapist for more information. Some schools may already have speech link and language link. These will help to flag areas of difficulty and identify targets and resources to use. Nelly, which lots of schools in Barking and Dagenham have, is also a useful screening and intervention tool for reception-age children only though. So what can you use to set targets? Use the available tools and consider what can the child already do? What might be an achievable next step for that child? And what is going to be a functional skill for that child to develop? It is important to think functional skills to target. These could include social, academic, or basic skills, such as getting one's needs met. For example, asking for help or clarification, or being able to initiate interactions with your peers. Keep in mind the communication pyramid and typical stages of development. You can also use the communication audit to set environmental targets for your staff. Please see the link below. Speech and language link assessments identify target areas and provide resources, and you can always speak to your SENCO and seek advice. You can also use your timely SENCO meetings with your link speech and language therapist to discuss particular questions about students. Now let's see some example target areas and activities. The first target area is attention and listening, which includes joint attention, shifting attention between the speaker and a task, attending to an adult-directed task, attending to group work, completing tasks independently, attending to classroom activities. Some strategies and activities can be ready, steady, go games or turn-taking games, sound bingo, attention bucket, workstation activities, visual checklists and timetables, sound timers, and now and next boards. And here you can see some examples of a now and next board, sound timers, visuals, and visual timetables. The next target area is social communication and interaction, which includes play skills such as turn-taking, pretend play, and playing cooperatively with peers, understanding routines and changes, initiating communication for different reasons, for example, requesting or commenting, and different people such as adults and peers. Some strategies include structured groups, for example, Lego-based therapy, visuals such as objects of reference, visual timetables, emotion keyrings, scoreboards, or PECs, use of everyday opportunities such as free play, PE, and playtime, and practice and model asking for help. Some other target areas for social communication and interaction may include understanding and describing themselves and their emotions. And when we say describing themselves, we mean both physically regarding their character and likes and dislikes they may have. Understanding nonverbal communication, for example, body language, personal space and facial expressions. Conversation skills, such as turn-taking in conversation, making comments, asking questions, and staying on topic. And understanding figurative language, for example, humor and play on words and jokes. Similar strategies include structured groups, as we said previously, also including talkabout and language for behavior and emotions, zones of regulation and thrive approach, and explaining figurative language. Here are some more examples. You can see some objects of reference, an emotion keyring, zones of regulation, PECs, talkabout, and corkboards.
Some examples of receptive language target areas might include following instructions, understanding such as concepts, so sizes, colours, prepositions, and you can use the Unlock Living Language checklist to help you to pick concept words to start with. Sequences, vocabulary, questions such as who, what, when, where, and why. Sentences or grammatical structures, so understanding plurals, tenses, and passive voice, and understanding abstract language such as figurative language or idioms. Some strategies you might use could include visuals, so symbols, pictures, photos, or graphic organizers, barrier games, Lego-based therapy, sequencing cards, blank levels or language for thinking questions, and vocabulary books or word maps.
STAR approach is part of the word-aware approach to teaching vocabulary. Emporic is an approach that has been devised to support the learning of vocabulary. The links to purchase the resources are available at the end of the presentation, and there is also a link to a video by Stephen Parsons that talks about word-aware approach as well as the STAR approach.
Some examples of different visuals or strategies to use. So we can see a word map, which can be used to explore semantic links and phonological and raise phonological awareness, and some other visuals. Some examples of expressive language target areas could include sentence structure, so adding more information to their sentences, using conjunctions or putting sentences in the right order, narratives, so including the key parts of a story, explaining, giving justifications or making predictions, using vocabulary or different elements of grammar, so using is and are, using regular or irregular plurals, and using past tense. Some strategies that you could use would be colourful semantics, shape coding, visuals such as symbols or pictures, Lego-based therapy, language for thinking questions, or different vocabulary approaches such as word maps. And here are some different examples of resources to use, so language for thinking books or visuals for Lego therapy. Some examples of target areas for speech sounds could include phonological awareness, so things like counting syllables, listening, so listening if the sound is the same or different, rhyme, identifying word initial sounds or word end sounds, and discriminating between different sounds. And some strategies you might use would be clapping syllable numbers, grouping or sorting words by sound, barrier games, and listening games. Please consider a child's hearing levels, and if you're not sure, your SENCO can refer to audiology. Please also speak with your link therapist before doing any specific speech sound work. Next, we're going to talk about how to adapt targets. Please also speak to your link SALT if you're unsure about any of this.
So now we're going to talk about adapting and stepping up and down targets. So when considering targets, there are different ways that we can step up and down these targets, and these include changing the setting or location, the support provided, such as prompting and visuals, and the nature of the task, like time, developmental stage, or activity type. So different types of prompts include physical, modeling, and visuals. In order to amend how much support a child gets with a target, it's useful to think about what we mean by prompting and visuals. So prompting may include any of these strategies. Sometimes we use this unconsciously, such as eye pointing or gesture, but all these are clues that the child picks up on to help to know what to do. Physical prompts would be the highest level of prompting, whilst pausing or providing expectations would be the lowest level before the child does this independently. So different types of visual can also come in different forms, and some may better suited different types of activities. For example, videos for working on verbs or checklists for older or more independent children, whereas other children may require the use of gestures or symbols. So now we're going to give some examples about adapting targets. So in order to step up the setting, you would adapt the target to transfer the skills to the classroom or in a larger group. To step down, it would be to work on this target in one-to-one setting or in a smaller group. In order to step up the support you're providing, it would be to take away the visual support or try doing it with less number of prompts. And to step down the target, it would be to add a visual support or give more prompts to the student. And regarding the nature of the target, a step up would be to increase the length of time, to use a less motivating activity, add on one more piece of information. And for stepping down, it would be to decrease the length of time, use a more motivating activity, and consider if there is an earlier developing skill that you would need to target first. So specifically, an example about a target regarding attention and listening. So if the target is for X to be able to participate in a range of adult-led activities in a small group for 10 minutes with adult support, the changes that you can do in the setting to step up would be for this target to be in a larger group or in whole class activities. The step down would be to be in a pair or one-to-one at a communication table. For the support, the step up would be to reduce adult prompting and support, and to step down would be to use visuals, for example, a now and next board, a visual timer, or to give more prompts. For the nature, it would be to step up, gradually increasing the duration of the activities, and step down to reduce the duration of the activities using more motivating activities for the child. A social communication target would be for X to be able to take 5 turns in simple games with another child with adult support. To step up regarding the setting, it would be for this target to be in a pair with an adult or peers, in small group or in whole class activities. To step down, it would be to turn taking just with an adult. For support, the step up would be to do this independently or with a reduced prompts, and to step down, it would require adult support, including prompts and visuals such as signs or symbols. For the nature of the target, the step up would be to incrementally increase the number of turns and using less preferred activities, and the step down to reduce the number of turns and use preferred and highly motivating activities for that child.
An example of target for receptive language would be for the child to be able to follow a range of spoken instructions containing 4 keywords and that include the following position concepts, first and last, with 70% accuracy within a structured activity within a one-to-one setting. For setting, you could step up this target by using it in a pair, a small group, or whole class activities. You could step down this target in terms of support by adding more visual support or giving them some more prompts. For nature, you could step up this target by increasing the number of trials that are correct. So instead of 70%, you could aim for 80 or 90%. You could use both keywords in one instruction, so get the first book and the last pen. You could increase the number of keywords, circle the last big triangle and the first red oval. And to step down, you could check they understand concepts first and then last at a single word level, and you could use fewer keywords. Thank you for watching our training video. If you have any questions or you feel unsure, please speak to your school Senko or link speech and language therapist. If you stay on the video, we have some resources and different links for you to have a look at. So here are some links for some screeners. And here are some links for some resources and websites. And manuals and programs. And here are some links for some different videos.